This is the bottom half of a china cabinet. I'm gonna sand that down, and I'm probably gonna do that first, because once we get down and get this factory finish off, we need to see if this is real wood. We need to see if it's something that's gonna look pretty stained, because in all likelihood, this was a painted on finish. So let's get this sanded first, because it makes the most sense to sand first so that all that dust will come off when we white lightning.
I stopped and turned, trying to find out.
I am seeing wood grain here, and it's pretty, and I'm excited. This is a random orbital sander, a DEWALT. You can see it in my Amazon store. And right now on here I have a 120 grit sanding pad. I would sometimes use an 80 to do a quick first pass on here, but this is what was already on it.
Every cell screams, stay right here, and my legs, they freeze us in fear. We got time after this, but I'll need you as my brightest light, even in the darkest night.
I'm going to stop one more second and remind you about eye protection. I wear glasses, so I have that on, but if you don't, safety glasses are very important, because you don't want all these wood particles coming into your eyes. And I don't remember if I said already to make sure and stay with the wood grain here. There's a few gouges that were in, damage that was to this already. You can lean your sander forward just a little bit so that most of the sanding is coming off of the front edge, and that lets you put a little more, of your booty into it to pressure it down to smooth those out. You don't want to do it so much that you get a gouge, but it is a good way to start. I now have came to the realization a couple of minutes ago. I said, oh, this is wood. I can see the wood grain. It's not. It's veneer. And veneer is when they take like a 32nd of an inch of real wood and glue it down like a laminate countertop right on top of a piece of cheaper wood to make it look beautiful and show the wood grain. Common practice in the furniture industry. If this was made out of a real walnut, it'd probably be 10 grand. So as I was going over some of the edges there and here, I can see where, look at that dust on there, I can see where it goes down to where there's no grain showing. So I'm going to have to be very careful with that, and the amount of elbow grease that I put on the edges of that as I go. But one more thing I wanted to mention, I'm probably going to do half of this top with this, change out this paper, get another one to make it take less, from me to work on that and do this whole thing. Then I'm going to put a 220 on here, a softer one, and go back over it again to give it a little bit of a smoother finish on top. And then I will stain it. The hardware is off, it's been washed with white lightning, and now it's just time to rinse. Got clean water, just gonna rinse the excess off. I use this paintbrush to make sure to get plenty in all these details. At this moment, I'm thinking I'm not gonna paint the feet. I'm gonna just stain over that the same color as I do the top. Now I'm just gonna get a quick first coat on here. I'm gonna use Dixie Belle Mini and let her rip.
I can't cope 'cause you're a star, my star. I wake up feeling even smaller, even when the
I've got one full coat of paint on everything, and I can't wait any longer. I want to stain this top. So I've got Dixie Belle No Pain Gel Stain and Walnut, and a couple of applicator pads. When I'm done with this, I'm going to put another coat of paint on here, and then I'm going to put some brown wax. So for right now, I hope you will enjoy staining the top of a dresser.
Saying, try to keep me down, no time for all your playing. Yeah, even if you doubt me now, you should know I don't care about the things you say. Yeah. I don't even know what I want no more, no more, no more. Yeah. I'ma figure out what to do with all my time.
Starting with my semi-clean thing here.
Oh yeah, I'ma figure out what to do with all my time, my new life, yeah. I don't wanna
Okay, there's some areas that are lighter than others, so I'm going to now reapply, hitting first in those areas.
wide awake, we're not getting younger. If you still love me, then please just let me go.
If you're really worried about evenness, once you freshly sand it like I just did, you can use a product like a wood conditioner to have that soak into the pores first so that it'll stain more evenly.
With all my time, my new life, yeah. I don't even know what to do right now, right now, right now, yeah. I'ma figure out what to do with all my time, my new life, yeah. I don't wanna try again, try again, try again, try again. I don't wanna try again, try again. I don't wanna try again, try again, try again.
I like that, so now I'm going to go with my rag.
Don't wanna do this again.
That you can leave it on longer. I just don't like to chance that it will dry any, and then I have to worry about, the ridges and all that. But you can still wipe it all off like this, put another coat to get it as deep as you want it.
I'ma figure out what to do with all my time, my new life, yeah.
This is going to be about uneven staining. I could have put wood conditioner on this because I just sanded the factory finish off yesterday, but I didn't. And some areas where there were defects on here and I sanded harder have now not wanted to take stain. So I'm going to try one more thing. This is Retique liquid wood. There's like big hunks in the bottom, so this is definitely going to take a second. It's mixing in very quickly and very easily. I can feel it thickening up and no big chunks on bottom or anything. I'm just using a chip brush to apply this because I want it to have a little bit of texture to it.
Yeah, we were happy at the time. Can't remember what it felt like. We used to be so strong. That picture perfect sky now and looks so gray and cold. We've been laying here since 4 a.m. and you haven't said a word to me. Silent treatment, is this what it feels like when your heart is aching, when it bleeds? If it's over, just say it out loud. Say those words, go ahead, just shout it out. Just be honest, be a man right now. Say it's over, if it's over.
This can be painted over or stained over, and since this area is going to be painted anyway, I didn't worry about it too much. I am going to wipe off the excess. I'm going to let this dry and come back and stain it. Okay, it's been a couple of hours. The Retique has dried, and I'm going to stain over it. This is Dixie Belle No Pain Gel Stain in Walnut and a finishing pad.
Said a word to me.
of these strokes going in the same direction.
If it's over, just say it out loud. Say those words, go and just shout it.
You can either wipe this off immediately or after about 10 minutes, depending on how dark you want it. And it's also buildable, so if you take it off and you're like, man, I wish it was a little bit darker, you can put another coat on.
Say those words, go and just shout it out. Just be honest, be a man right now. Say it's over, if it's over. We've been laying here since 4 a.m. Silent treatment, is this what it feels like?
Love it. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Now I'm gonna loosen up everything that's on these edges so this can dry and I can paint it. So much of a better finish than it did have. I love it. I don't have my wax brushes with me, so I'm gonna use chip brushes and a rag. Now I'm gonna go into the details around the drawers, the top and the bottom and the doors and all that with DIY wax. First gonna put on a little clear wax to go into the finish. Then I'm gonna put some dark, and in some areas where I want it darker, I'm gonna add a little bit of the decrepit dust. And I'm gonna gator hide this top in a minute. Always put on a little clear wax first to keep. We're gonna first do this top little part because there's a lot of details that I feel like y'all can see on that. Always put your clear wax on first to let it sort of seal the pores of the chalk and the clay or whatever is in your paint. And then come back with your darker wax so that it doesn't get into every brush stroke and everything you've got. If you wanted it really, really dark, you could do that, but that's not what I want on this piece. I want it to be aged and I want these details to pop, but I don't want every single inch of it to be darker. Use your top coat here instead of the wax if you wanted. You could use DIY Big Top or Dixie Belle, clear coat satin, flat, gloss, whatever you want to use here. And then come back and put your dark wax into the details. Or you can use wax like I'm doing here. Either one, what it does, what that top coat or first coat of sealer does, whether it's wax or a polyacrylic or whatever kind of top coat you're using, is it seals, it goes in and that calcium carbonate, which is the chalk, just absorbs that. So it gets rid of that chalky-like finish. So that's not gonna grab oils and things like that later on. And makes whatever you put on over that, for one, glide better, and for two, for you to be able to move it around better to get as much or as little as you want on there. When you add the wax or the top coat or whatever sort back to the paint and it absorbs into those porous areas, it deepens it back up. You put the paint on and it looks this color, then it dries a little lighter. When you put your top coat back on, it goes back to looking like the color that's in your jar. It's doing pretty good. I'm being heavy-handed with this, especially down in these crevices, because that's where I'm going to want to leave some at. That's where I'm not going to want to wipe it all off. I'm going to just want to hit the high points so that it leaves that dirty old aged look in there. This wax goes on like butter. I mean, I love it. So once I put this on here, there's no, going back over this with some kind of other top coat or any of that. Once you put your wax on, when it's an oil-based wax like this one is, that's it. You are done adding stuff, because if not, it'll act like a resist and whatever you're wanting to put over it, it's just not gonna work. So the dark is on there. You can leave your dark on there for a little while to see if it's gonna penetrate a little bit more or whatever. I'm not. I'm gonna go at it right now. At least wipe off this top rail first. We did that because I don't want that to be too dark. And I'm just wiping this with a soft cloth, which is either an old nightgown or an old t-shirt or something that I cut up. Let's get that because I don't want that to be too dark. I want this part to be darker. And then I'm gonna go over this lightly to wipe off the part that's on the high points, but not dig down in there yet because we're still gonna come back and put some decrepit dust on it. I'm going to use this same brush because it has a little bit of wax on it already, which will help this adhere a little bit, and dab it into the wax that's still wet in these details. And I'm thinking that remember at the beginning I said up here it sort of looks brown, it sort of looks tan, it sort of looks gray. I'm thinking that this decrepit dust on top of the dark wax is going to give me something that really ties in with that top. I'm now going to take my clean brush and just sort of sweep at it a little. And I'm going to come back with a rag and do that wiping thing again. Now can you see the difference? And you see how this is almost like that. I really love that. I think I'm gonna need to come back and put a little more on this piece. Say if I thought this was too much, I could come back with some more wax, the clear. Let's go right back over it. And that's gonna help me erase some of that and get it a little lighter. That's how I'm gonna use the wax. As I said, I'm gonna continue and just go into these same details. I'm gonna put the wax all over and then come back and put the dark in here. Wipe that back, put the dust on it, wipe that back, erase some with my clear, and just keep on going until it's where I want it to be. I appreciate you being here, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.